why do you think 𝗘𝘃𝗲 is so popular in China today?
Yeah. Well, as I said at the beginning, the poets are deemed to be the truth tellers in China. And you can say things in poetry that you can't in other forms of literature. And the recent demonstrations holding up placards and speaking lines from his poetry is just an example of that. I talked to quite a few people at Chengdu. Chengdu is where he built a thatched cottage and lived for quite some time. And it's a very famous tourist spot in China. Maybe not the biggest place of literary pilgrimage in the world, because I guess Lu Xun, the house in Shaoxing is that, you know, that's unbelievable scale. But the Chengdu thatched cottage is the oldest great literary pilgrimage place in the world, perhaps, and it's a lot of people come. And I interviewed quite a few people there, and it was very jolly, you know, ordinary folk, not you know, upper middle class literary people, but ordinary folk who'd learned them at school, you know, three sisters who'd all retired and they'd come on a special trip, and you know, a group of friends who'd come from all over China and had these regular meetings once a year to be with each other, women, and ask them what their favourite poems were, and they'd talk about them. And of course everybody agrees, and they're partly mouthing what the government tells you to mouth, I think, you know, that he was you know, very loyal to the state, but of course he was loyal to the idea of a just state. He wrote savagely about the corruption and failures of government. But the Chinese state today, because they present it, you learn them in school, the things you learn in school tend to be things that are not controversial, you know. The Li Guanyan, the meeting with the musician south of the river, and those kind of things. They don't teach you at school those kind of sort of bitter critiques of the failure of government. But there was just a widespread love of his poetry among all the people who were crowding into the thatched cottage site. He wrote one or two gorgeous poems just about the landscape and everything else there, you know. We met a couple whose little daughter, she was only about 6, had fallen in love with it, and she read out the oh gosh, what's it called? Warm Rain Spring Night or something, and it's so gorgeous. Have we got time for one more?
Quickly, and then I have one last question before we open to the audience.
Yeah.
Everyone's been very patient.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are lots of questions.
Yeah, the little girl she read it out, the little 6-year-old. The good rain knows its season. When spring arrives, it brings life. It follows the wind secretly into the night and moistens all things softly, soundlessly. On the country road, the clouds are all black. On a riverboat, a single fire bright. At dawn, you see this place now red and wet. The flowers are heavy in Brocade City. So Brocade City is Chengdu. So it's just an observation about the feel of it. So, and the Chinese, all the people we met, you know, love that. Yeah.